welcome to LDSBookReviews.com. My name is Ryan Daly, lover of books, and today we're going to do a classic that I've been waiting on for a while. Joseph Smith, Rough Stone Rolling by Richard L. Bushman. All right, guys. Great book. 100%. 4 stars. Hands down. Go for it. Here's the deal. If you want a biography, I'm not going to bury the lead here. If you want a biography on Joseph Smith, this is the biography. Period. End of story. Okay. This is a phenomenally researched book by Richard Bushman, who I love dearly when he writes. Just going to side comment. When he talks and speaks, you don't really understand where he's going. He's a little liberal in his talk, but more firm in his writing. Okay. So with that being said, this book is phenomenal. It's huge. It's well researched. It's thorough. It's comprehensive. It hits it on a culturally sensitive and meaningful way. So it not only talks about the realities during the period, during the life of Joseph Smith, but it talks about it in a cultural context that makes it meaningful and reasonable and applicable. There are a lot of things that happened in the life of the prophet Joseph that today seem odd to us, right? We take our cultural bias and we layer it on top of our expectations of what a prophet should be, and we suddenly become judgmental to the way he lived his life and the way he did things. But we struggle to realize the impact of changing times. We struggle to realize within context of the cultural norms how much things that are weird to us were actually quite normal and consistent in their day. So this takes a lot of that into account. He does a phenomenally great job of being respectful through the text. Now, Richard Bushman is a member of the church, and he has done a lot of research on the church. So in this, he sits and he takes the context. He doesn't take the context of being an LDS member of the church. Obviously, there's some biases there. But he takes a lot of approaches where he says, let's just assume this is the approach he's taking. Let's assume he's a prophet. Let's people around him called him prophets. Let's call him prophet, which I appreciated. And it gave him the benefit of the doubt when he needed to have the benefit of the doubt, and then was critical of him when there were questions. And he's not hiding the questions. He addresses them, and he says, there's questions about this. And so on some levels, this isn't a book that I'm going to give 5 stars because it's not a book that every single person needs to read. It is a book that if you want a biography on Joseph Smith, read this book. Okay. However, before you get to this book, read the other biographies like by Lucy Mack Smith. Have a good, firm understanding of the mission of Joseph Smith before you jump into this, because he does cover content like polygamy, early polygamy. He covers the Curlin Safety Society, the bank crash. He covers seer stones and the development of the Book of Mormon, as well as the process of revelation, plural marriage, the development of temple rites and rituals. So he covers every significant topic, and he doesn't do it in a context that's, I'm a good Latter-day Saint, and so I'm going to say the things that need to be said. He makes critical challenges, okay? So it's not necessarily the book that I would give to the new convert. And it's not necessarily the book that I would give to my 18-year-old daughter to read before she went out on her mission, right? But it is a book that if someone is at a point where they want a biography on Joseph Smith that's long, that's deep, that's comprehensive, this is the one to go to. Don't go to the other ones that are obviously biased and unbiased, right? In fact, I would say that he goes so much to the extreme of making sure that he seems as unbiased as possible that he takes liberties that I don't necessarily agree with in the text itself. But I appreciate his approach, and I can accept that. In fact, we'll review this at another point, but he did a follow-up book called On the Road with Joseph Smith, and it's a small journal about him writing this book. Now, this isn't worth getting, don't worry about it. But one of the great things that he brings up in this is he says, if I had known that my major audience would have been LDS members of the church, he confesses he probably would have taken a little bit more passive approach or more faithful approach to Joseph Smith than he did when he thought he was just writing for scholars. than when he thought he was just writing for scholars. I'd love to say a lot about this book. I love it. It enriched my testimony in Joseph Smith quite a bit. Now, with that being said, I did say that there were some challenges. I'm going to say right now what's important for me when it comes to the life of Joseph Smith and my testimony in the restoration of the gospel. That, to be totally transparent, I have had to be able to cast and use in order to get through some text, and this is actually one of them as well. And here's the deal. Early in the restoration, Oliver Cowdery was challenging the truthfulness and how he was supposed to know. And the Lord said, cast your mind upon the night that you cried unto me in your heart, that you may know the truth of these things. He says, then I speak peace to your mind concerning the matter. And then he said, what greater witness can you have than from God? The reality is, friends, that when God says and confirms to you that Joseph Smith was a prophet, what greater witness can you have? We try to take our concept of what we think a prophet should be and judge Joseph Brigham Monson by that. Rather than the reality of saying, God has confirmed to me, therefore he is. And rather than us judge him as a prophet, we learn what a prophet is after the fact. That's how I believe it should be. And it is. When God says he's a prophet and he's confirmed that to you, what greater witness can you have that Bushman can't take away and no one else can take away either? At that point, we don't say, is Joseph a prophet because he lives up to our standards? We say, what is a prophet as we look to Joseph and Monson and Hinckley and better understand that because it's already been confirmed to us. So I am going to give critical acclaim to this. 4 stars. If you're looking for a book on Joseph Smith, this is the one. However, if you're not an 800-page reader, don't start it. Okay? Start with Lucy Mack Smith. Start with some of the other biographies. Start with the work by Truman G. Madsen on Joseph Smith. And then when you become a bigger, thicker reader, then you jump right into this book. Thank you very much. LDSBookReviews.com. We'll go ahead and leave it there. Thanks.